everyone. Welcome back to another gaming podcast. This is a little different here. We're doing an interview, and you know what? What better way to start an interview? Our very first interview segment here with a Canadian icon over here, Victor Lucas from Electric Playground. Victor, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on another gaming podcast. This is awesome.
Super excited to have you. We hope to have you on our actual gaming podcast weekly episode that we have with our other friends as well.
Of course.
I'm sure you know many of them as well. But this one's a special occasion. I had to have you on here because something special is going on here. And I made sure to write it down properly here so I didn't miss any proper details or anything. But, Electric Playground, let's go back in time, a little flashback and everything. So Electric Playground started way back on a website in 1995. Believe it or not, websites were around. Like, probably one of the very first few thousand websites, at least probably let's say in Canada, the first 10. let's be honest here. Back in 1995, and then it became into a show in 1997. For me, I remember watching it on City TV here in Toronto. On a weekly basis here on at least on a Saturday, and then right after that, it came right after that fashion show. I can't remember the TV show that came on right after that. But I was like, it's the fashion show then. Victor Lucas is right after that. So they made you dress up and then to watch Electric Playground run after that and everything. But then you slowly became into a daily show as well, which was even better because as soon as you came home from school, you know what, you drop your school bags and just see a trail of jackets, snow pants sometimes and everything to watch.
Your parents love that.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
a parent
absolutely.
Now, and I know how much we love that.
Well, at that time, my mom didn't make it home, so I had a little spare time. So when the show was over, I'm like, okay, let me clean it up and everything, And you had different series of shows because you also had Electric Playground, and with your review section, that slowly became its own show as well. And then there's also Judgment Day as well and everything. And then slowly over time, you definitely branched off from Canada to the States, even parts of Europe, I assume as well. But then a new beginning started in 2016 with YouTube. And now a new chapter in your life is starting this Friday, 2024.
That's a good way to frame it.
Right, March 24, because I see these as chapters because you never know what's going to lead you to or what could branch off to and everything. Now everything these days is multiverse. Multiverse.
Exactly.
We don't know which branch tree we're going and everything. So and where fans get to relive every moment starting March 23rd every Saturday and every Saturday after that. With you, the creator of Electric Playground. How excited are you for this?
I'm incredibly excited. And for anybody that's been watching EP for a while, there's not going to be rerun city because there were seasons where we had 13 episodes and then they would rerun and then we make another 13. We're just going to keep rolling. So we're going to do a fresh classic episode every single week, and we're going to premiere them and on YouTube. So the way YouTube premieres work is that you can chat live as they're happening, and so I'm intending to be there for as many of them as I possibly can. Definitely going to be there on March 23rd, and I might have some special guests here and there. Might create some other content that kind of pairs up nicely with the classic shows, but. Last year, where we met in person, I don't know if it was the first time, but we met in person. We discussed a little bit of what might happen with this stuff. Was at the University of Toronto, Mississauga.
Yes,
we partnered with them to digitize all of this content. They're sharing this material with an educational license with their students, and then they're giving me the material to use because we still own the rights to everything. So we're gonna share it, and I felt like this was the perfect time. It's been a long, long journey, and you're right. When we started on the web, there were no backgrounds. There was no background colors, so it was all gray, and we had these really just simple little, GIF images to kind of represent the sort of chapter headings of our website back then.
You didn't have the trail mouse or anything like that, did you? I remember that was the cool thing back in the day, or you could change the icon of your mouse and everything.
No, we didn't do that. We kept it pretty clean. We went to a black background with some little animated GIFs and stuff like that. I remember working on some of those things. I actually made I personally HTML programmed and made all the images for the ASC Games website 1 year because we were sort of getting integrated into the video game industry. And it was a really amazing time back then in the mid-90s because the industry was big, but it was very open, and it was very easy to make connections and make friendships across the whole business quickly. And that's exactly what we did. We started out of Vancouver with not a history in television production or even a full integration in the video game industry. We just sort of knocked on doors and sent faxes and went and visited places. And it started with visiting broadcasters and sort of getting an interest in this concept, and then rolling an interest in this concept with the game developers that we had reached out to. David Perry was a huge supporter right from the very beginning. He was in all of our pitch documents and stuff, saying he's the founder of Shiny Entertainment. He would say, come on down and visit us, and we'll talk about Earthworm Jim and everything else that we're working on. And it was awesome to have support like that. Jeff Keighley was actually in our pitch document. He was writing articles in Toronto, and we sent him an early demo of what we were thinking of for the concept, and he wrote us a nice letter and stuff. And I think I probably met him at E3 1995, the very first E3. I think I did. I can't recall that meeting, but I've known him forever. You know, and then
I do
eventually
remember him on a couple
Electric
episodes as well. Yeah.
Well, he was a co-host. He was on for a nice chunk, and I was reviewing games with him. And then G4 liked him and courted him, and he was based in LA, and so they brought him aboard for first G4TV.com, and he started a great television career and now an award show career and an event career. Yeah. Very proud of that guy. Very passionate dude, and like. I've been just so fortunate to work with these incredible people all the way along. I've been able to kind of let them know that this was built from passion and love and a respect for this industry, and I'd reach out and sometimes I'd have to coerce them. Like Jade Raymond was not like super hot on the idea of being on television right at the beginning, but I was like, Jade, this business, you really know how to communicate around it. Yeah. You've already got this entrenched relationship with the people out there. You're going to be terrific on camera. Yeah, I saw her on stage at GDC one year. I'm like, who is that? She's amazing. She would be incredible on the show. And so I approached her after GDC and talked to her about it and brought her aboard with Julie Stouffer, who used to be on MTV's Real World show. Yep. We did a whole suite of auditions actually in Los Angeles for another correspondent, another host on the show. And she was amazing. She just brought so much innate curiosity. We did some mock interviews and stuff like that. She was fantastic. And so she came aboard. Marissa Roberto was kind of something similar.
I know Marissa for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, she was amazing when we first met. We met her at a fan expo or something like that, and she came up and she interviewed a bunch of the EP people that were on the team at the time. And she just really impressed me with her her sort of do it by herself attitude or gumption, her ability to just have I think her boyfriend, who is now her husband, was there and just shooting, and she was just so confident and fun. And it was like, this is what we need. We need people that really know how to be self-motivated and be comfortable with people and have friendly conversations and have an articulated innate curiosity with the questions that they ask and have an intelligence about them and an empathy about them. And she was a terrific addition. And then some of the other guys were writers in the video game industry that I'd known at different events and stuff. Sean, I met through colleagues in the game industry. We were growing into a daily show, and we were looking for presenters and hosts. And I asked a few of my friends in PR in the video game industry in Canada, and they recommend this guy, Sean Hatton. He's just a tremendous personality and a super nice guy, super friendly guy. And we had a meeting, and I just loved that, he's a literal drummer that beats to his own drum, he's a super unique individual, and he was a great addition. And Steve and Raju, I've been so fortunate. And my wife, who has been there right from the very beginning, tamping my crazy vision and my dreams, but also helping me in every conceivable possible way to facilitate everything and to support everyone. And she really helped run the company and take care of everybody. And awesome. It is a surreal time, Marcel.
That's crazy, man.
It's surreal because it's like I'm not just reflecting on a TV show that was kind of there. It's like that was my life, and all of these people are my friends, and we built so many things together. And it's going to be weird it's going to be like airing my home movies in a way, you know, with people and watching them with friends, friends and viewers and stuff like that. But so excited as hell that this is finally happening.
Believe it, that's actually one of my follow-up questions. I was going to ask you, I was going to ask you two questions because I got so excited that this is actually happening because you are, I'm sure many people have told you this now that you're a huge Canadian icon. I see you as Canadian heritage moment. No house hippo for Canada or anything like that. But there's those Canadian heritage moments. So you're this first episode of Electric Playground. I'm yes, that is definitely a heritage moment. That's for sure because you definitely open up a lot of opportunities for not only for us Canadians from coast to coast, but even people down in the States who have like Danny or the Parises out there, maybe even the Greg Millers out there as well. They all know your show and. In some way you've definitely had inspired them to oh wow, if this guy could do it or influence them in some way, maybe I could do it myself in my own way, maybe spin it my own way. So I definitely had to thank you for that. You definitely do deserve your kudos and your flowers for sure. But I wanted to know well, first of all, how are you doing, and then and follow up how does it feel to get this all done as well?
Well, it is a bit surreal. I've been having weird dreams lately, I gotta say, because it's your whole life is in front of your face there, you know, we're talking almost 30 years of reflection. And so I've been looking at some classic stuff, preparing little promo bits and things like that. And I've been doing quite a few interviews recently, a lot more than I normally do. I usually am just, banging on the work that I do. Yeah. So I'm not usually in the seat where I'm being asked a bunch of questions. And it is a lot of reflection, man. I have been so bloody blessed. I've been so lucky to work on so many cool things over the years. And so it's energizing. It's certainly making me reflect a lot. I am, aware of the amount of time, and I'm also acutely aware of how fortunate we were to be able to be in that position, and just how we didn't squander it either. Yeah. We worked our butts off to build something kind of special, and worthwhile and valuable. And I think that the secret of it was to visit these companies and to, do this thing face to face, which was expensive. It took all the money that we made basically we spent it all. We spent all of it on going to visit everybody and making something that a university would find valuable. That was such an underlining epiphanous moment for me. It's I don't know how much other work that's out there would be the drive for a school to go and let's collect all of this and put all of this manpower into digitize all of it. But because we made this conscious choice to go and visit these people and see these places and, real-time document even these environments in these specific times, it made the content so vital. And we weren't aware of that. We were just doing it, and we were just doing it. My whole idea right from the beginning was let's go meet these people. Nobody knows who they are. We could have them in the studio. We could try to work out some kind of airline deal and fly everybody in. But God, there's a million shows like that. There weren't a lot of not just in games, but just in everything. There weren't a lot of shows that were endeavoring to get to these places, and that was the whole attraction for me. I was the kid in the 80s and 90s reading these magazines and infatuated with this business and these names that would populate and pop up every once in a while. Didn't know them, wanted to know who they were. They were in cities that sounded so attractive and enticing to me. I wanted to go, and I wanted to go and see all of these things. And I figured if I wanted that, there was going to be a viewership out there that was feeling similar. I wanted to go to the, when we went to Atari in the early days, and I talked with Dan Van Elderen and some of the other Atari staff. Some of them had been there for, at that point, that was the mid 90s, but some of them had already been there for 30 years or 28 plus years or something like that. They had been there when the Atari 2600 was being made. And they told me about, working with one or two people, building a game, and then those same two people would go into the factory, and they would assemble the cartridges together and put them in the boxes, and then get them into bigger boxes to ship out everywhere. And like the building block kind of stuff about the video game industry was just so illuminating and fascinating, and it right from our very first season.
It was true passion, definitely. Yeah, it was
true passion, and I'm meeting legends in the very first season. There's me interviewing Shigeru Miyamoto for the first time, and Nolan Bushnell pops up, the founder of Atari, pops up in an early season, and I think Ed Boon and John Tobias in there. It just was surreal to, we started at a run. We really did, and we were sort of in over our head because we hadn't really produced a weekly series before.
Yeah.
But we started at a clip, and we kept up with this crazy pace, and we knew that the audience, even if they were completely in the dark, if we did it with honesty and with a sense of fun, and we got the business involved, and I would tell developers right from the beginning, like, this is for you, and if you guys don't like this show, then we failed in our mission, because we're making it for you guys, and there was great response to that, and because that was open to us, we learned a lot, and we were empowered by it, and then we came back for more, and we learned a little bit more the second season. But you mentioned going to daily in 2008. That was amazing that we got a chance to do that. We had done another deal with Rogers before that called The Lab with Leo Laporte, which was kind of a rebranding of Call for Help, and
I remember that show very much, actually. Like, I remember Amber MacArthur, and I know Callie Lewis. I think she has a different name now, but they were here in Toronto filming it, not too far from where I live, actually, and then they moved everything over to Vancouver. With Leo Laporte and everything. So I definitely remember that.
That was our production company putting that together, and got to work with Leo. And because we assembled a whole kind of studio system in there, like a live studio type deal, with a whole mixing board and prompters and all kinds of stuff, and microphones with like headsets and stuff like that, so we could talk to the control room and everything. That gave us a lot of discipline as a team, packaging that much material, because we think we made like 180 or 200 episodes of Lab with Leo Laporte. I think we only did it 1 year though. Yeah, things changed at the end of the year.
Yeah, because
it didn't last that long.
It didn't last too long. I remember he would fly, because he had his own, like, he was starting the whole nother trend, because when the whole podcast and everything was starting off. But he would fly from San Francisco, and then he'll fly back.
We gave Leo a lot of eye-opening kind of wisdom on how to assemble all of that stuff. Trust me, when he would come up, he was always looking in every room going, "Oh, this is how you guys did it." So he went back to Petaluma and built a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, and then he has This Week in Tech, and then they made his own branch off of that and everything. And I remember Revision 3 branched off of that as well, and then they got bought from Discovery, and I was hooked on that time during those days and everything. So that's for sure.
A lot of twists and turns, but that experience gave us the I don't know, the foothold to be able to grapple with the technical kind of changes and challenges that going daily with Electric Playground was going to mean. But we still needed to be out in the field kind of program. So we had teams and satellite teams in different cities, in Toronto and Montreal and Los Angeles and San Francisco. And so we were visiting everywhere. But that was a very nerve-wracking time for me, because we were shifting from a weekly known entity, where we had been building a series of seasons at that point, and we had grown, I think, to 50 weeks a year or something like that by that point. And we had the 2 weekly shows, but then suddenly we were launching a daily show, and we knew we had to expand out from just talking about games. It had to be a much more sort of full-on entertainment-focused show with the heart of games. And I didn't know how it would go, but it actually ended up becoming a much better show when it was on every day, because of the access points and just the variety that we got, and the types of people that we had access to, and the types of pieces and things that we could put together, and also the growth of the team and everybody's new contributions and all that. But it was amazing to learn and be gifted these beautiful opportunities based on our work. You know, it wasn't just like, somebody doing us a favor. We were delivering really solid seasons and episodes every year, and people were liking that, and they liked working with us, and they kept hiring us and giving us green lights on things, or sponsoring the show and sponsoring it again. So I'm incredibly grateful to all of those businesses that have been there from the very beginning and have supported us as we've gone. But we also really learned a lot, and we really tackled a lot of things along the way. And I'm so unbelievably proud of our team, and just so freaking grateful it was those people that helped to build the Electric Playground. And what's going to be cool, I think, is to take a moment to celebrate that every week, as we roll back into this. And I don't know what we're going to do when we get to the daily seasons and the two I don't know. Like, one of the things that's been a bit nerve-wracking about this whole proposition is that I don't want EP to just be about what we've done, because I still make lots of fresh material. I just talked with Jeff Minter about the making of the new Jeff Minter compilation that Digital Eclipse did. I've got an interview with the executive producer of X-Men 97 that I'm working on right now. I've got 2 or 3 reviews that I'm going to have out this week, and I'm busy with this stuff all the time. I still live this,
Absolutely.
But I think EP also exists as this heritage thing, or this.
It's definitely a heritage moment,
thing, for a lot of people.
I know many people are like, "Oh, I've been watching since I was a kid and everything like that," but which is true and everything. But for me, I didn't want to put like a age, or like, "Wow, you've been doing this for a long time" type of thing. But no, this is like this is a great moment. Like, it's this should be definitely celebrated, because I'm sure you open like many eyes for, like I said, for Canadians coast to coast, to like, wow, like if you could do a show like this, then I could do my own show like on music or sci-fi, and you definitely have inspired. Like, I'm sure there's not it would be hard to find someone who'd be like, "Oh, I never heard of Electric Playground." Maybe the new generation now, because it's not on TV anymore, but like there's a vast amount of people like, "Oh, I've heard of Electric Playground, or heard of Reviews on the Run, or maybe even Judgment Day." I remember watching it on G4 or City TV, or many channels that because I remember seeing on many different outlets as well. That was like another thing as well. So like sometimes daily will happen, then like you'll still see like a weekly, but it was like an episode from like years ago. Like, it was just like always sporadic and everything. But that's just how like TV media goes and everything. They're like, "Oh, we have the tape."
The passive viewership that we used to have, and the family viewership that we used to have, is the stuff that I miss the most. Like, now it's so targeted and siloed and algorithmically served up to us, and I think it's done a real disservice to the video game industry, quite frankly. I think we're all watching stuff in echo chambers, and we're all struggling with discoverability, and we're seeing a lot of just vile stuff bubble up to become the thing that draws the most clicks and eyeballs, and what's being forgotten is that there are human beings that make these things, and they work really hard, and they get out of bed every day with hope in their heart to try to entertain people. And we're just not having the discussions with those people. It's always attack. It's always, you said this, you promised that, and this game doesn't have this and that, and then why is there a patch? And it's just like, so much vitriol, so much venom about people working at big businesses, yes, that are trying to make a lot of money, yes, but invariably these companies then take that money and invest it in more things that they hope people will like. And yeah, we've got too many live service games, and yeah, we got too many things with microtransactions and with their hands out and all that stuff, but that isn't the totality of the video game marketplace. There's a lot of really good choice out there. There's a lot of really great work at all levels, AAA and indie, of course. And I don't know. There's just I see a lot of people saying that the video game industry sucks now, and it used to be better then. And man, I've been here the whole way. And the best games that are being made right now. There's some incredible stuff. Yes, there's some repetition. Yes, there's sequels. Yes, there's problems. It's not perfect. But holy crap, these really artistic, creative people have these this incredible technology at their disposal now, and they can realize dreams like never before. They can make things happen like they've never been able to before. We all want more. We all want the games industry to be, responsive to the concerns that we have over digital loss. Like you have a license to play this and then it's revoked. Yes, we want the video game industry to figure that out. We want the video game industry to figure out preservation and serving up classic stuff. But God, there's so much fun material for us to play. And there's a lot to be said also for going back into backlogs and playing stuff that you might have missed from a year or two ago. There's just no shortage of really great news in video games. Yeah. And we spend so much bloody time on, and with great news also are great people, really cool, creative, great human beings. Mm-hmm. And all of that is being buried in favor of, I don't know, what is it today? You guys know. It's exhausting. It's just the hatred that flows around video games.
It is definitely exhausting, especially when people don't realize when a game was broken back in the day, that game was broken. Yeah. You had to wait for another release of that game. Like there's a reason why we have so many Street Fighters, for example, because they were like, let's patch this in and like give them a little extra. Maybe add in 4 more characters. Maybe add in a secret boss.
I was on another podcast. They made that exact same point, man. That's so funny.
It's crazy because that's right. We have so many Street Fighters. Everyone's like, "Oh, I love this version of Street Fighter." I'm like, this game's broken for a reason, right? Like, I used to remember doing like Hadokens in the air. I'm like, that shouldn't be happening. I'm still in the air doing like 60 Hadokens. Like, what's happening here? So
that's so funny.
We're definitely in a great time, and like, I just, I feel like, and that's the thing, that the human element. I feel like people are just. Like it almost feels like a Christmas movie or like a Hallmark movie or something like that, where like if you forget like the whole human element, I want guys try to bring back like the human feeling or the Christmas spirit type of thing, like feeling like, oh, let's just bring it back. People like, I don't have time for that, like it's such like a rush like world we're in. I'm like, just maybe go on the collector's lane and just kind of like take it in for a little bit and enjoy the ride for a little bit. And I feel like just people kind of just forgetting that, which is kind of sad and everything. So.
I just watched a video on YouTube yesterday. It was a well-produced video and it was quite funny, but it was just all hate on Ubisoft for half an hour and people are evil there. And it's like, man, there have been some evil things that have been done, and there are some crappy people for sure, but you're painting with a huge wide brush. People are showing up every day. Have you played Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown? Did you play the Crew Motorfest even? Like I know we're all hating on live service, and it does. I mean, live service is as stupid as a business idea. Yeah. You cannot have a whole bunch of them at the same time. It's the biggest, stupidest risk that video game companies could make, because most of them are going to fail. So don't do them all at like that. Every once in a while we're going to get a Helldivers 2, but it's such a damn risk, and the companies should just mix and match and all that stuff, especially with all the talent there. All that being said, the Crew Motorfest was incredible. It was a massively fun, enjoyable experience. I still
play it now.
Yeah,
it's a great game and everything.
Riders Republic was awesome as well.
Exactly.
It's so easy to just hate on a whole thing because of one little thing, or absolutely. One thing that bugs you, and then it's just a big pile on, and then people are just like, it's like they're out with their pitchforks, and it's so sad, And it's sadly all for clicks as well. That's another thing as well. Like, it'll just be like, well, that always blows me away with the because I get some, hate messages every once in a while on my reviews and stuff like that. I have to say the EPN community is pretty freaking incredible. A lot of them are lifers like me, and they're just amazing on the live streams and also on the YouTube vids that I put up. But every once in a while, for sure, I'm just gobsmacked by just like the infantile behavior of people on a YouTube comment. Like, I couldn't imagine waking up and writing something awful about somebody's work. Like the impetus to do that. It's like they've just been brought up so poorly or something, like just to have so much time and energy to ball it up into that hate message and post something like that, and mine aren't that bad. I know like there's a lot of stuff that's out there that's a lot worse, but it just makes you stop. It's like, what is up, man? Like, why and I'm sure like anybody that would post on mine probably stops on 5 or 6 other things in a day and just posts awful things on other people's stuff.
They go and look for it. That's their job, apparently. It's a non-paying job, but that's their job and everything. It's to be like, I'm going to hate this post and everything.
It stops me cold. It's like, what the hell? Like, there's so many things you could do. So many things you could do with that energy.
Absolutely.
And make your life better than to sit down to stop and just spew like that. But
I assume you didn't have something like that back in the day before all this happened. Like there was no fans write in angry letters like, how dare you give a 6 out of 5 to like my favorite game?
That's fine. That's totally fine. That's like opening for discourse. But like, if I've had things where I've made a comment or a review on something, and it doesn't happen that often, so I don't want to even just prop this up as like this is the norm, but they'll come on and it's just filled with hate. Like you suck at your job and you're terrible and you're a piece of shit, whatever, this diatribe. And it's like, God, because you like that game or you didn't like that thing and I liked it or you didn't like it, this is what you're going to. And so back in the day, it was never like that. It would be like, oh man, that was fun to watch, but I totally disagree with what you just said right there. Or how could you give this? I love this game.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yes, totally. But to attack people, and I'm not even saying this really happens that much with me. I just see it and I go, Jesus, this is what a lot of people like. I couldn't imagine, because I don't get the massive views on tons and tons. Some go quite well, but it's not every single one. It's because I cover everything. And YouTube doesn't know what the hell to do with me. Yeah. But I can't imagine what some people must go through, and I just can't sync with the people that think like that. It just boggles my mind. Like, what a waste of life. Like, you have this gift with your life and you spend chunks of it on the internet just throwing grenades at people's joy. Like, that's what you want to do with your life? What a terrible way to exist,
It's wild. It's absolutely wild. So I've actually been wondering, how was your transition into YouTube from TV media to now YouTube media? How did that transition go for you? And I'm sure,
I was so nervous.
Trying to figure out as well, right? So
I was so freaking nervous. I was like, not because of any of that, just because I was basically, I had to lay off a lot of people as the show wound down in 2015, and we just didn't have the operating budgets, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I was really at a crossroads, and I knew it conceptually how unique our position was to be in sort of mainstream media and to have a television show and have a budget, and where a lot of people could actually be, gainfully employed. And I didn't really quite understand how much content was being made out there by solo people. And people just going out to events and just shooting everything and cutting everything and putting stuff up on their own. And I had some awareness of what YouTubers and stuff like that were doing, but also a lot of media outlets and things like that were kind of being operated that way. And so it was a big kind of mental shift for me. But Ubisoft invited me to the Division 1 event in San Francisco in 2016 in January. So it was like right at the beginning of the year. And so we were wrapping up with EP on television, and it was very emotional. Like, we'd had a huge long run, 25 seasons of Electric Playground and 14 seasons of Reviews on the Run. And we'd done all of this work, and then we were kind of pivoting, and I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I didn't know if I was going to go and find another job or do a different kind of path, but I loved what I was doing. And so Ubisoft invited me to this thing, and I said, yeah, I'd love to go. I'm friends with lots of people and I've covered their stuff for years. So I went to this thing and I just took my iPhone and I shot a video with a light and microphone plugged in and all that stuff. So it looked like the TV show as best as an iPhone could kind of muster. Yeah. And then I went home and edited the thing together and I posted it on our YouTube channel, which we really hadn't been able to focus on because our broadcast license deals had really been about TV first. It had to be about TV. And sometimes we had like a 7-day delay on when we could post to the internet and stuff like that. It wasn't really thought of that way.
Yeah.
We were all trying to move to that direction, but we were
Okay.
also working with companies that had some pretty understandably strict guidelines around all of that stuff. Everything is totally different in the media landscape now, but
Yeah.
so anyways, in 2016, my first kind of video up was a preview of The Division, interviewing some of the developers and talking about some of the hands-on moments that I had with it. And it did pretty good. I posted it up and people were watching it and commenting on it, and it got quoted around the internet a little bit. And I'm like, Jesus, I just put all of that stuff together myself. I guess I could continue doing that. And that was kind of the door opening on that. And then of course, the whole way through, I've been, chatting about partnerships and other kinds of things, and it took a long time to kind of find the right partnership with University of Toronto, Mississauga, with the value that they saw in our content, but also to digitize it and to work out an idea of what to do with that. And then I've been, working on external projects like. Doing some hosting stuff with Nintendo and working a lot with the Vancouver Film School. And so I've just been keeping busy, just been working on lots of little things. We did documentaries and then the pandemic happened and I had to kind of shrink again and bring everything into the basement here. But then there's been technologies like this that have allowed me to stay connected and have lots of interesting interviews and do all kinds of stuff. A little bit less of the location stuff, although I have gone to some events and some things out there. For the most part, my job has been the same almost all the way through. And I think what I'm going to be showing the world is what EP can be with these classic pieces, what EP can be with a budget and with allowing us to kind of grow a little bit and scale up with to find a team of incredible people out there. And I'm hoping that becomes, an eye-opening thing for the video game business and the media business a little bit. And who knows what happens.
I'm excited. I'm definitely excited because this is the best way, even because this is why people always say to like, oh, post your work online, post it on LinkedIn, especially LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn's like the best way to like, show off your work, and people are like, oh, I didn't realize you did that. Maybe I could use this for this job. And you have like 25 years of a great resume for sure, 25 plus years for sure of a great resume of with EP and all your shows. Do you have like a special episode you're looking forward to? You're like, oh, I can't wait for this episode to come up to discuss about. You don't want to spoil it, which I understand.
Well, the first one's pretty cool. The one that we're running this Saturday is a pretty cool one because it's collecting a lot of the pieces that we shot at E3 because it didn't air till '97, but we started shooting at the very first E3 in 1995 with a Betacam SP, and so we've got some good-looking clips and footage from the very first E3 and the '96 E3 and the '97 E3. We focus a lot on early days of E3 in that episode. But to be honest, every episode, I think, it's all reflective of your tastes and what you're kind of wanting to get out of that era and out of the games that you're interested in, all that stuff. So it's going to be a different thing for everyone. But, obviously for me, every one of the shows is pretty darn special to reflect on and look back on. And I think we added a lot of entertainment into every single episode. And as the shows were received and we started to get feedback and the video game community started to see that stuff, we got a little crazier, a little sillier, a little bit more ambitious. And, we'd visit LucasArts and lightsabers would come out in the middle of an interview and stuff like that. And it's going to be, I think, really fun to just sort of chart our progression and to chart our confidence, basically, at building all of this stuff. But, it's going to be rad to see a lot of familiar faces and friends that I maintain, that I still am connected with. And in fact, I will have a nice little surprise going up after the first episode this week.
Cannot wait for that.
Which I think is going to be pretty cool. I got a busy week, but it's going to be It's going to be fun.
This is your tour,
then it's going to be fun
tour week, you know, like you're going on different like late night shows talking about the show, like, oh, I have a great movie coming out right now, you know, like let's check out the clip right now, you know.
It is different to be interviewed though, man. It is a different thing to be on the other side of it, you know. But it's really nice that people care about what we've done, and you know, that want to extend that invite and have me on their shows and stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I had no idea the ripple effect of what we were doing, you know, like, and back then it wasn't like we weren't charting views and ratings, and I mean, we had to some degree to kind of keep going, but it wasn't like today where that's your whole identity, you know, like your subs and your view count and everything, and how many likes and hearts, and we're all so infected with that disease right now. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you know, we were honored with the opportunity, and we didn't want to screw it up, and we did our best to just make something that we had fun with and that we hope people would like. And it was a good way to live, you know. And then I remember when we went on G4 in America for the first time, and I got to be really good friends with the vice president there, who was kind of head of working with acquisitions and stuff. Really wonderful guy, and he is a wonderful guy. Still, I don't want to talk about it in past tense, but he mentioned something really profound, because during our time there, of course, the G4, as we had signed up with, was merging with Tech TV to become this one giant ship, and he was very nervous about it, because his history was at running and being there at the birth of MTV in the States. And he recognized the new dilemmas that the network was going to face as it was getting rated. Suddenly, you know, the pressure was really on. The pressure was on with bringing in advertising and bringing in subscribers when G4 launched. But when G4 and Tech TV merged, the pressure was really high, because they were in X number of million homes, and they were suddenly being compared to every other outlet out there at that scale. And they had to hit numbers on their shows that correlated with the advertising asks that they had. And a lot of the ad buyers and things like that didn't really care about content at all. They were just looking at eyeballs. That's it. But they just wanted that numerical thing. And that was going to bring unbelievable pressure on everybody at the network. And that's exactly what happened. You know, became a real pressure cooker there. And so that was a big eye-opening thing. And we were fortunate enough to make our stuff kind of free of that pressure. We were just this independent outfit out of Vancouver. Everybody gave us a lot of leeway and a lot of autonomy, a lot of respect and trust that we knew what we were doing. We learned a lot of things. We got great feedback along the way from our collaborators and our partners. Often kind of to slow down a little bit, because we'd already kind of picked up all of the language and we'd built this relationship with our existing viewership, but we were growing every year, and we were building into new homes and with new viewers that maybe didn't know all of the stuff that we were talking about. And so often it would be like, this is fun and fast, but maybe slow down just a little bit, let people in, because they're not going to really know all of the ins and outs of this developer that you're talking with. And so we built specific content to appreciate that and respect that. And it was you know, when you have a run like that, you have a lot of time to evolve it. Obviously, and a lot of time to kind of analyze it and post-mortem it and think of what was working and how to shift it and how to make it work more. And even when we launched as a daily show, we had months of working it out. And then we shot a bunch of sample shows and worked with Rogers to kind of get their take and their feedback on stuff. And you know, all of that helped, you know, and I don't know if we ever made the perfect show, but I think over the course of all of that effort and that real concentration to respect our audience and respect our studio partners, like all the companies that we were visiting, and our broadcast partners, you know, everyone, we didn't want to let anybody down, you know?
Well, like, even if you're still contemplating, if you think you didn't do the perfect show, you had an amazing show, because to be on for 25 years, that is not like there's only a few like shows who are out there like besides what The Simpsons, I guess, for example. Like it's only like there's only a few number of people who have been like, oh yeah, we've been on for 25, 20, even 20 years plus, even like make the first season, for example.
Yeah.
So you definitely had an amazing show, that's for sure. And like especially with the whole G4, like I found that whole era of G4. Yeah, there was like Attack of the Show, X Play, and then like then you guys would come right on right after that. And I found you were also like the perfect fit for that because those two shows they had like their own creativity and like, hey, just do whatever you want, figure it out. Have your own creativity to spin, and you guys kind of fit right in right the same way as well because you had your own creativity and like you mentioned leeway as well. So you were definitely like the perfect like fit time slot fit right in right after that because like you had those two shows and then like you guys came on right after that. And it was just like it just blended in right perfectly, and like I can't, even up to now I still miss those days, and I'm sure you do as well because it was just I feel like you guys were honoring like something like a culture that meant not to me like back then. Like now it's like everyone loves like the nerd culture now, of course, but like back then it wasn't as cool or you kind of like you didn't really tell everybody about it, like you had like a small little group of friends at the corner of the lunch table, like, oh yeah, I'm reading this comic book right now and everything, and you guys brought it out and made it, you started the leeway and started the whole trail of making it cool and making it more like I guess the norm now these days. Now like everyone loves it now. Like people are like telling me like, oh, you want to go to Fan Expo? I'm like I've been trying to get you to go to Fan Expo for years. Now you want to go to Fan Expo? They're like, I'm busy this weekend. Sorry, like just like, but like it's wild now to see like how everything kind of shift over and became more modern. Like,
well, Fan Expo
now, so.
and things like Comic-Con are like they're perfect examples of collecting a massive amount of people to come and enjoy a singular thing. And I think what's happened is we don't really have that too much with media now. I think we have so many voices and which isn't terrible. It's just the way it is. But I find that, I think the best thing that we offered was just a 30-minute condensed take on all of the stuff that was happening. Our tag at the time was everything cool every single day. And I think what exists as nerd media culture or media around nerd culture now is kind of exhausting. It's so much, and it's so much time. And I think a lot of things are slipping through the cracks because people are busy in one direction or whatever, where they it's just siloed, and it feels like a bit of a reversion to me in some ways, because when I pitched EP, it was about let's lift off from magazine culture, and prior to that it was fanzine culture, where people were just getting together and building documentation about stuff that they were passionate about for that circle. And I feel like there's so much of that out there right now. Certainly there's things like it's hard to even quantify what the hell mass market is or what brings people together. But you still see things like Entertainment Tonight. You still see things like Extra and TMZ and stuff like that. And they will focus on this culture every once in a while. And it's weird for me I grew up, I was a big magazine nerd. I used to really enjoy magazines, starting with the video game magazines, but then I got into lots of other stuff too, Rolling Stone and Spin and Esquire and lots of stuff. And it's been weird for me to see Esquire focus attention on games, or Vanity Fair focus attention on video games. But I don't know. I still feel like there's an absence of what we did out there, Absolutely. And I feel I feel like there's still room for it, I don't know how or where, but it boggles my mind that there isn't something more out there dedicated to this world, but in a really accessible, digestible way. Because I think you have to be a power nerd and have time on your hands, which is like it's already like you're whittling down and you're whittling down and you're whittling down, and then they're going off in their whole different directions to find out what they want to find out about, but maybe that's the way it is. Maybe we're all just scrolling through 1-minute videos now, and that's how we learn.
Man, the whole algorithm, 1 minute long form one day, the short form the other day. It's a headache. I don't know what it wants. Like at the end of the day, I'm just gonna put out what I'm very passionate about, and I'm
That's
sure
all
you
you
do
can
the same.
do.
And just let it see if it floats and everything. I also wanted to bring a
Yep.
little Canadian element to our conversation here, actually, because we're
Sure.
you and I, we're very fortunate enough to like for example, I'm going to PAX East in the next couple of days. And like I know some people go to GDC. I believe you've been in GDC before many times.
Yes.
But
Yeah, I was supposed to go this, and I would have been great, but I've got a
yeah,
lot on my plate right now, so
yeah,
I just said no. Let's not go this year. But I
exactly.
really want to
You're
go
on
because
tour right now.
I
You know,
miss that. I'm kind of on
yeah.
tour. Yeah, it's a weird time right now.
Yeah. So like, what do you think Canada has to do to like level up like the gaming media here? Like,
Well,
would you
one
love to see
thing.
more conventions? Like, I know we have the Canadian Game Awards, but like, I would love to see it like televised in a way. But what are your thoughts on that?
Um, I- I mean, hats off to you and this grouping of individuals that I see on a perpetual basis here, like the another gaming podcast and console creatures and stuff like that. I'm
Yeah,
starting to
yeah.
see a lot more of you guys work together and band together, and I think that is absolutely the right thing to do. Um, I think that there's a real opportunity to dive into the existing development scene and prop them up and let people know who these people are in Canada. I think that, if you're in Canadian media and your focus is on, a Canadian element in your storytelling, you have to take every effort you can to kind of shine the spotlight on Canadian devs. I think one of the most exciting developers over the last little while has been Max Inferno. This partnership team that built an indie game for the very first time, that found a niche out of Nova Scotia. Just a fantastic story, And they had great publishing partners, and they had great exposure. They had a great video kind of reveal about A Little to the Left and about who they were as people. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful story, and I know that there are many, many more out there. The gentleman who built Tunic, I think, is a wonderful story as well. And some people want to live in anonymity as well. I think that's part of the Canadian identity. Like we really don't love to bang the drum for ourselves, and I'm kind of the same. I know I'm in the media, and it feels weird. It just feels weird. Like we're raised to not think like that,
Yeah.
But I feel like it's incumbent on Canadian media, if their focus is on the Canadian game scene and building that up, is to do as much name dropping as possible around these companies, build as much content so that these names become prominent in people's lives. Because right now, so many Canadian developers are working in obscurity. So many game developers, period, but especially Canadian developers. And part of it is the sublimated ego that Canadians have. Like they don't want to project, that they're super special. And there's also a hugely collaborative element in video games. And sometimes when you raise your hand to take the attention, it can create some friction within game teams and stuff like that. And that can be, incredibly damaging in certain ways. So there needs to be a bit of respect there. But I think it's really important for Canadian writers and Canadian game media to do what they can to kind of draw attention to these different firms and these different individuals. And what's happening increasingly in the AAA space is that a lot of Canadian divisions of these huge conglomerates are co-devs. They're part of the development idea, strategy, or the full makeup of a huge game, and that should be called out as well. Even if the studios themselves, even if these huge publishing giants don't do enough about that, I think it's important for Canadian focused media around this space to bang the drum about that. I interviewed and that is an EP's natural space. I know we are a Canadian media brand, but it's not like we've been privileged to be talking with people all over the place, and that's been our MO from the very beginning. But I certainly feel that call to highlight Canadian game makers. I created the original version of the Canadian Video Game Awards solely based on that. And I know it's trickier, and I know that the ability to pay the bills on building that content is trickier. Media in general is a lot trickier than it ever has been. And so maybe work like that has to be really done in partnership with the game development community at large, but I think it will benefit the industry. I think any discussion around this innate drive to build this creative content is going to furnish more people wanting to join that drive. And I feel like we have done such a disservice to that with a lot of the storytelling around video game development. And there's been such a clenched attitude about access and when we can talk about this and who can say this and how, and what they say. And then on the flip of it is a lot of angry people attacking developers and all of that stuff. And so we have really, dampened our ability to just hear from these human beings and have them inspire future human beings to want to make games, especially at the AAA sort of caliber, in these bigger studios and stuff. All we hear is how threatening these companies can be and how poorly they're managed. I mean, that's all we hear, and none of them are perfect, but
but then which company is?
There's still no company is. And there's different stresses at a smaller level. Maybe they're people's feelings are taken into consideration a little bit more if you're a smaller business, and that's great. But you still got to pay the rent. You still got to meet payroll. I mean, it still can be incredibly frustrating at every level. But if that's what the focus is, then that's not very inspiring, especially if the flip on that is, hate YouTubers making millions of dollars a year and people going, well, I don't want to do that hard work with this thing where I might get laid off or whatever, because that business has they were in the news for being crappy for 2 years, so they must be crappy forever. I want to go make YouTube, or I want to be a Twitch streamer because that's going to be a great career choice for me forever. It's like, well, I feel like if the whole world does that, what are we going to stream? Yeah. Are we all just going to be, streaming games from 20 years ago? Because we need people to be inspired to want to go and make the next thing. And some of them are going to take really big teams, So, and that's certainly a quandary for the business to figure out right now. But takes a collaborative group of ideas to build things that really shake this industry up. It isn't just there aren't too many tiny little teams that I don't know, take us huge steps forward. Yeah. There are great ideas that come from tiny little teams. I don't mean to diminish that, but it does. Generally, I will say that the large studios that are resourced and financed and there's just a tremendous amount of creative effort collaboratively applied, that tends to rock our business, and you can point directly at things like Alan Wake 2, and next year it will be Grand Theft Auto 6, and I mean, I don't have to list out, the games that are out there.
There's too many right now. There's too many.
There are too many. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, I know it's only March and everything, but do you have a Game of the Year front runner as of right now? Like what, so far that's okay, you're gonna be on the list right now?
Yeah, I think it's got to be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think that it's it's beautiful. I think it's much better than Remake. I just played through Remake again before I played Rebirth, and it's not perfect again, but it's just so nostalgic and beautiful and fun and clever, and this mini game overload, and It just hits on a lot of wonderful cylinders. The music is incredible.
Yeah.
I absolutely adored that, and I adored Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown as well. And Tekken 8 was incredible. I mean, those are the things that immediately pop up for me. But we've started off 2024 at a really, really high level.
Absolutely, I gotta give more love to Prince of Persia because that's for me like my like first nominee ballot right there is Prince of Persia.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I had such a great time with that game. Tekken 8.
What'd you play it on?
I played it on PC actually. But I know,
you played on PC.
But I know you loved it on the Switch because I saw your Contra review and like you were hoping that they kind of ran like how Prince of Persia did, but then maybe I know it's way forwards like like you mentioned in your review and everything, which everyone should go check it out. By the way, it's available right now. By the way, check it out.
Yeah,
but it's they definitely like that one. It just blew me away. The art style, the character, like even the story alone was really cool, and like just like the character juggles you could do like with that game. Like if you were especially come from like a fighting game background, like I'm not a strong fighting game background, but I understand how to do the moves and everything, and like you can literally juggle enemies up in the air, and the parry was perfect and everything. And I also had a chance to talk to the producer as well, and like we had a blast talking. Like he almost missed his flight. We kept on talking for a little too long and everything. And like that's another thing you were talking about, the whole like passion and human element. Like it shows with that game. And like I didn't want to put that game down. I was actually sad I was coming to the end. I was like, oh, let me go see if I can find something else or try to get like all like the shards and everything. So for
They've
now,
got DLC coming.
Yeah.
So
I had no idea. That's a lovely surprise.
Yeah.
That's you got me with a little exclusive surprise here. That's nice.
Yeah, they have a bunch of DLC coming, and like they've got a permadeath mode that's coming, and all kinds of other things to bring us back in, and hopefully it continues. I think it's a real mistake that it wasn't on Steam. I really think Ubi screwed that up. That is a perfect Steam Deck game. Nobody wants to jump through these bullshit hoops anymore.
I know.
Put something that's on the Epic Store onto the Steam Deck. Just like make that happen. Steam Deck should be just the de facto kind of base point for anybody publishing on PC. I've got a great Steam Deck anecdote as well, actually. At PAX last year, I went to an indie night thing, and I went and took a look at some really cool games, but everywhere I looked at, almost, I'd say 85% of the stations, there were lots on monitors and things like that, but at 85%, it was developers showing off their games running on a Steam Deck, all of these indie games. And I'd never seen that before. I'd never seen this uniformity in PC game development or indie game development, a device so perfectly positioned to show off indie game development creativity. And of course, it makes so much sense. If you're traveling to an event somewhere to show it off, and I don't know about you, but my play pattern has really changed with the deck, and I've always been a huge fan of the Nintendo Switch, but the Portal launched last year.
I'm glad you mentioned the Switch because there was one year at a convention. They had like a lot of developers were focusing on the Switch, not due to there's so many vast amount of Switches out there, but there was one convention where they lost power, and Sony and Xbox, they could have showed their demos, but the only ones who were running was the Switch. They're like, oh, just pick it up and play the game and everything. So I mean, it makes sense with the Steam Deck and everything. So and it will be cool that this is from our a friend of mine who's part of the podcast, Riley. He mentioned like, oh, like what would you think? Like, would you buy a system that came with Steam on like integrated as well? I'm like, that'll be mind boggling. Like if Xbox had Steam built in it, that would be like, I think that's just game over right there.
Xbox should make a portable. Xbox should absolutely make a portable, and PlayStation should make a PSP2 100%.
Oh, yeah.
They should also allow you access to the PC, so you could download stuff from their PC stores and the Steam store. That would be great. But I'm also like, we're about to get iPad M3s with OLED screens. We're about to get iPad Pros, which is different price bracket, but the iPad, is like it's a computer. And I've started to play some of the games on Mac, like Death Stranding, and some games already on Mac you can run on your phone at this, the same piece of software. It's you've got your Mac version, you've got your phone version, and I think that sort of middle line. The phone's too small, like to run Resident Evil 4 or Death Stranding, because you're just looking at all of these little tiny details. But on the Mac, they've been running great, and I feel like Apple has an opportunity here with these M-powered iPads with a PlayStation DualSense controller paired up to them to make them really, really attractive, portable video game systems that aren't necessarily laptops. They're not far away from the price of a laptop. That's the only thing. These iPads are not cheap. But there is something there. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like there's another category in the middle of all of this that could be really intriguing, especially if we're talking about flip-up devices and things like that. Apple's just got to get serious about their partnerships with game companies. Absolutely. And they got to spend some of their trillions on video games. Like that's one of the things that I love the most about Microsoft is like they're not letting go. They aren't winning in the hardware race. And by their own admission, but they're saying, look, we believe in this medium. We've spent a fortune on these different game companies and their intellectual property. They're never going to give them up. Yeah. And so they're in it, like they own Call of Duty. That is the biggest brand in games.
It's wild, right? They Candy Crush, all these things. And a lot of people forget that like Microsoft, they're just implementing what the Microsoft like ecosystem is into their gaming, which is, Microsoft is everywhere. Like you could buy a Microsoft Surface if you want to, or you can just go buy a Dell computer. Like it still comes. You're still getting Windows. And like, so I don't know why people were like, "Oh, how dare they be putting Xbox games elsewhere?" I'm like, because they want people to buy their games. Like they're a business. Like they want everyone to enjoy their games and everything. So definitely,
it'd be wild to see a battle of these $1 trillion companies taking it seriously. Because. At that scale, Apple is the only company that can really compete with Microsoft and what they have done. I don't necessarily want them to go on another monopolistic spending spree, and then we just have these two, category giants out there. But it would be nice to see an alternative, and somebody thinking like that. Apple's still very much about the walled garden and all of that, but they make some really beautiful hardware. So. It is interesting, man. Like I still can't believe that the deck is such a success, they really pulled it off. It's a beautiful piece of machinery and it's essential, I think, and the other ones are getting really good too. Like all the other handheld PCs are getting really, really freaking exciting.
MSI just came out with a new one, the Claw and everything.
Yeah, the Claw, Yeah,
it's wild times. I guess one more question before we sign off here is, are you planning on doing like a Twitch marathon, like how Bob Ross is? Like Bob Ross is always on. I guess once you've done this YouTube part right here, are you planning on having like EP on 24/7 if you are able to do that?
That is something I've been wanting to do. Yes, okay. I've been thinking about all kinds of cool things that we can do with this material. There's documentaries and all of that stuff. And it's, I'm kind of at another crossroads here, Marcel. Like it feels like I could focus all my energy on documenting the way things used to be. And that's not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. But I am also obsessed with the new as well, right? So I guess what I'm hoping for is maybe some more partnerships. I've got an incredible partnership with P&P Games out of Winnipeg. They're the premier sponsor on this classic material. Mm-hmm. And I've got some outreach to a few other businesses, but I haven't gone whole hog because, again, I'm making new things. So I'm not like spending all my day, banging a drum about what we have done. But it would be great to have a few more partners to kind of build out a team that can help me and help this kind of grow and reach more people. But I certainly have been thinking about some cool things that we can do specific to Twitch and in celebration of all of this stuff, but also as extra content attached to all of this. That's awesome. That'd be fun.
That'd be so cool.
You'd like that, huh?
I will absolutely love that because like you just tune in anytime and like maybe you might even become like a global emote on Twitch. You never know because there's Bob Ross everywhere and everyone just and like sometimes they celebrate Bob Ross. They put it on the front page of Twitch sometimes and
that's great.
It's like once again like he teaches people how to paint. A lot of people the whole art section became a thing due to that and like
so Bob Ross is just running 24/7 on his own channel.
His own channel and everything. Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool.
It's crazy.
That's so cool.
Crazy.
Well, we could certainly do that. We have the turnkey solution to build our own EP network like that. I mean, that's why we called it EPN. We were starting to build so much material that it was time to brand it something a little bit larger, because I would just say the show. You want to be on the show, or we're going to do this on the. But we had a bunch of shows running and documentaries and other things. Yeah, you got my brain. Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty ambitious, and now you're making me like, okay, what else can you?
If you ever want to brainstorm, you let me know. You can call me anytime now.
Oh man,
yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I certainly appreciate that idea, though. That's a wonderful idea, and it's a nice impetus to start thinking about what's next, which is great, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, I'll give you a chance here, the spotlight here. Any words you want to say for everyone who's listening?
I just thank you. Thank you for listening to this, and thank you for watching our content for so many years, and I am really looking forward to watching this material again. If you don't know the URL, it's youtube.com/EPNTV. And every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, starting March 23rd, we're going to start from episode 1, season 1. And from September of 1997, we're just going to run through our whole catalog of Electric Playground every week. We did 4,000 plus episodes of EP and reviews on the run, which was called Judgment Day in the US. Yep. And we're going to bring all of that to you at the best resolution that we can. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope that you guys will spend some time to come and join us and watch this material, and feel free to comment how you like. Just please remember that it was produced many years ago, and the reviews don't need to be relitigated in 2024. But say whatever you want to say. I'm excited that people are going to be able to see all of this material again.
I'm super excited. I'm definitely going to be tuning in. I'll actually be in Boston tuning in, checking it out.
Wicked, man.
And definitely, once again, everyone, here's a little housekeeping. youtube.com/EPN TV, and huge shout outs to PNP Games and University of Mississauga as well for making this all possible as well. And then also thank you,
absolutely,
thank you, Victor, for just everything you have done. This was, I can honestly talk to you for hours here and everything. I don't want to keep up too much of your time because I know you're so busy as well. But thank you so much for this opportunity. This is definitely off of my bucket list and everything. So thank you so much for this.
I can't wait to come back, Marcel.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to join some of the other people that are in your podcast circle there, man.
You will be on there for hours. You better block off some time. That'll be a fun episode. Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. Well, I'm looking forward to your feedback, and keep the great ideas coming my way. And anytime you want me back, just reach out, and I will do the same. I would like to have a little Canadian cabal, pop into Vic's basement every once in a while, and we could talk about some of the current things that are going on out there in games. Keep it positive, though.
Absolutely, we'll love that. And of course, to you, Victor Lucas, play forever. All right.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, everybody.
Take care.